Hey everyone, it's your favorite political innovator here, David Washington, with another episode of The David Washington Show. Come on, we all knew that. Hey, so a couple of things. I just finished a great hour plus long episode of From the Margins with Jimmy Afant. Please check it out. We should have it posted sometime later this evening. It is July 3rd, Friday. It is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the founding of our country, July 2nd, actually. And it's just exciting. It's exciting. And the direction that this country is going in. Before I get to that, I just want to say a few things. One, we had the first Hob Nob of the season. Yes, the first mini convention of the season. Uh, it was sponsored by the African American Chamber of Commerce here in Central Florida, and it was held a couple of days ago. And it leaves it, it could have been a little bit better. And and that's it really. It turned out to be, what many expected was opportunity for the politicals to get together and talk about one another, talk about themselves, um, and just kind of be out there. As I've stated in Countertop Politics, the episode about hobnobs, it's a money grab. It is something that organizations and different entities, civic entities, put together pretty much to kind of fund their own programs. Um, However, I did learn a lot. Um, and I think the typical um, person, or even a typical politico, really well. Let me check that. The average voter and the average politico would not have picked up on some of the things I picked up on, um, and I think that's because. I guess I just look for certain things when I'm in situations like this. And it was great to see so many different people, to see different points of view. However, you have to, again, walk into these situations with intentional, and listen intentionally. And I listened very carefully, and it was pretty much it. It was, for the most part, a Democrat situation. It favored the Democrats, and liberals and progressives, and the agenda was very clear, from your state rep candidates to your county commissioner candidates to even your judges who believe that they need to be activists or advocates from the bench. Learned a lot. Learned a lot about where people candidates stand on specific issues, or what they hope to accomplish, or what they do not hope to accomplish because they never really talked about it. But it left more, it left me wanting more. So saying that, um, another thing I wanted to discuss, and just right now in this particular moment in history. There's so much going on in America, and it's just happening so rapidly. And I love my country. I love its citizens. I love its people. It's fascinating places, and the country itself, and its history, however flawed, is our history. And just about maybe 48 hours ago, I had the opportunity to sit down with two mentors of mine, both attorneys, and we were discussing the matter with a mutual friend and candidate. And the conversation dwelled into the Memorandum of Understanding between the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran. And I gotta admit, I think I held my own, with two attorneys. I am not an attorney. However, I've been around in my professional life a lot of attorneys in and outside the courtroom professionally. And here in Florida, before even Florida, there's a shout out to Bob Balinoff, Mike Ruzicka here in Florida. Shout out to, Steve Myers. Shout out to Tony Suarez. Shout out to Jimmy Afont, lawyers that I've come to know and appreciate their point of view. Kendall Lee, Jonathan Stewart. Oh, I'm sorry, not Jonathan Stewart, Michael Stewart. Folks that these lawyers, these men have shared information with me, shared knowledge with me, wisdom with me. Can't save them all, David. Bob once told me. After a certain age, you just can't save them all. I've learned so much about the law and about human nature and how to argue my point in a tactful and respectful conversation without getting emotional about it. And again, a shout out to these men who mentored me in one way or another, or just offered, in their opinion, their perspective on the law and life. And so going back to this conversation with these two attorneys the other day, it was fascinating to see how lawyers think and how they apply their craft to even the most personal conversations that we were having. And I found it so enjoyable. And, I maintained frame. I took notes on the napkin and, went through my argument and their argument point by point. And unfortunately, my bladder was killing me after having water, a glass of wine, Pepsi, and then some really good coffee. My bladder was shot. I needed to go to the bathroom, and unfortunately, the conversation stopped there. But it was enjoyable to be with some great minds and be able to have an intellectual conversation with those individuals about one of the most fascinating points in history that we're facing right now. And hey, I stand 10 toes down. I stand firmly and confident in my support for this war with Iran. As a matter of fact, the war ended, I would say, months ago. And it's a larger revolution, everyone, a much larger revolution. And again, I implore you to, during this holiday, here we go, during this special 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, I implore you to research and try to understand the American political economic system, also known as the American economic system or the American system. I implore you to research and understand the American system versus the rules-based system. Understand the Monroe Doctrine and now Donroe, or the Trump corollary of the Monroe Doctrine. Understand how President Lincoln, President McKinley, President John F. Kennedy, and now President Trump all fit into, or how they try to move forward the American system and tap into what makes America great. It's innovation, it's creativity, it's productivity. How we go back to Alexander Hamilton's, and please read this, report on manufacturing. The here we go. The Hamiltonian system. That's a start. Because it was Alexander Hamilton, our first Secretary of the Treasury, who established the American system. or the Hamiltonian system. There's so much about our rich history as a country. And I truly believe that we're moving in that direction. U.S. Trade Representative Garrison Greer, U.S. Secretary of State or Marco Rubio, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and of course, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. They have spoken so many times. Even Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, did I pronounce that right? Hegseth, have spoken to the American system. And once you take your time to understand it, even have a cursory understanding of the American system, you'll have a better understanding of where we are in this revolution. Not everything is perfect, but what I can tell you, it's much better than what those on the far left are offering. Those in the Democratic Socialist Party are offering. I'd rather live in the America that we have now than under the America that the socialists and the communists want for us all. It is what it is. So please, during this time of celebration, everyone be safe and take some time to understand the bigger picture, because there is a bigger picture. There's always a bigger picture. And open your minds and open your hearts to other ideas, other perspectives, and maybe perhaps the next 250 years will be even that much better. Hey, I'm David Washington. This is the David Washington Show. I'm your favorite political innovator. If you like or dislike what you hear, please let me know. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Put it in the comments, because I do respond to the comments. It may take some time because there are a lot of them, but we do respond. And please, I implore you to visit our other podcast properties, The King Exchange. I think they're working on an exclusive, so look for that on The King Exchange. Don't forget, Countertop Politics every Monday or thereof. And then, of course, our more global show, Ground Zero Florida. I'm David Washington. We'll see you next time. God bless America. God bless you. I love you. Take care. We'll see you the next time.